And first at 5, new drone video showing the devastation from the hill country floods from the air. Today, for the first time since July 4th, Drone 12 captured this video above Kerrville. We'll have the latest on the search and recovery efforts in Kerr County in just a few minutes.
But new at 5, did he kill his wife? An autopsy could determine the fate of a South Bexar County man whose wife was found dead, wrapped in plastic, inside their home.
A test done by the Bexar County medical examiner will determine how that woman died and whether this is a case of murder. Katrina Weber spoke with a neighbor who says either way, it is disturbing.
Charles, did you do it?
Yes. Without hesitation, 49-year-old Charles Bird tells Azaria Oates what some suspect, that he killed his wife during what he calls a mental break. Bexar County Sheriff's investigators found Angela Bird's decomposing body Saturday inside their home on Pleasanton Road, south of Loop 1604. An arrest affidavit says it was wrapped in blankets and a carpet, then tied up in plastic with ratchet straps.
I can't get it out of my mind, because it's so devastating.
Esther Martinez, who owns a church next door, saw deputies close in on the home Saturday. The affidavit says a relative of Bird had noticed a foul odor, then called the sheriff's office after he reportedly confessed to him. A SWAT team found Bird Sunday afternoon hiding on the property.
But it's sad because, they're your neighbors, and you didn't even know what's going on in their home.
Martinez says she and her husband set up this church as a way to bring a source of goodness to the community. She's surprised something so bad could happen right next door. Investigators are waiting on an autopsy to determine how Angela Bird died. Until then, the only charge against her husband is tampering with evidence. We've learned Charles Bird worked as a master plumber for the Floresville School District, but has since been fired. The district says he had no direct contact there with students.
Tell my kids I'm sorry. It just wasn't supposed to happen.
But it seems Bird hopes his words do reach his own children. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
A possible THC ban, property tax relief, redistricting, and the STAR test on the original agenda. The revised Texas legislative special session officially started today.
And after the July 4th floods in the Hill Country, emergency response became the priority. Courtney Freeman was in the Hill Country the day of the flood, and tonight she is live in Austin at the Capitol, where Courtney, that fateful day was definitely top of mind.
Yeah, Stephen, Myra, it definitely was. I was on the House floor today, and I saw all the legislators in the House, most of them wearing green or wearing a green pin just like this, meant to keep in memory the victims, not just at Camp Mystic, but now generally speaking, all the victims of the July 4th flood. Now, the big kicker today, that session inside the House only lasted 5 to 10 minutes. That's because they want to wait before they have discussions that the Joint Committee can meet. And that happens on Wednesday, and then the full House will reconvene on Thursday. Now, today I did get to spend a chunk of time, though, speaking with members of that joint task force on the flood legislation for this disaster. And one of them was the Vice Chair, Senator Pete Flores, and I asked about his priorities this session.
Senator Pete Flores is no stranger to natural disasters. He was a state and colonel game warden.
The state responded very quickly. With our TDM is some of the best first responders in the world, and with the calamities that hit us, it's a well-honed machine. But we can always do better.
8 of the 13 counties he represents were hit by floods. So as the vice chair of the new Committee on Disaster Management, he says he's prepared to listen to responders this week and Hill Country locals next week.
There's very folks out there, I'm sure there are, that have the answer to a lot of these questions. And all we have to do is listen.
What is your thought on alert systems right now?
I think we need to look at the baseline of how it works in terms of communications. What is effective communication in what part of the state? What technologies exist in terms of the equipment to be able to provide our citizens with more warning, with better forecasting, with better communication, everything we want to look at.
It takes installation, upkeep, testing, and it's a lot of money. So do you feel, given what just happened, that the state would be able to help in funding if that's what your constituents want?
I think we need to do what is necessary to ensure that the people of Texas are safe, and that we do everything that we can to be able to work with our communities to ensure that they have what they need.
Senator Flores will push for first responders communicating more seamlessly.
There's practice, there's drills, there's that communication from a local level all the way to a national level that has to mesh. It can't be in silos.
Now, again, that joint committee task force for the flood disaster will meet Wednesday with first responders here at the Capitol in Austin, and then they will go to Kerrville next Thursday to speak with the locals themselves, and KSAT will be at both of those meetings. Coming up tonight at 6, I speak with Representative Wes Verdell, also on that joint committee task force, and he lives right outside of Kerrville. He has a very unique perspective of this, so that's coming up tonight at 6. But for now, we're live at the Capitol in Austin. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Courtney. Let's go to I-35 at San Marcos right now. 2 lanes are closed because of construction. You can see that is causing a backup. Things slow going, but they are still moving on that part of construction on I-35.
Adam, we're getting closer to feeling like July should.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Myra. And we'll be right near 100 degrees. Wouldn't surprise me if we hit 100 by Wednesday and Thursday. Right now we're forecasting 99, but again, 100 degrees, triple digits wouldn't shock me. But so far this year, we've only had 3 triple-digit days, and they all came in early May. Now, here's a comparison to years past. By this date, back last year, we had 12. 2023, we had 27. And by this time in 2022, we had 42. It just goes to show how a rainy pattern has a big impact on temperatures, and significant cloud cover out there in the mid and upper levels that we have that's been influencing temperatures the past couple of days. 94 in San Antonio, 87 Kerrville, 91 Hondo and Uvalde. But you get outside those clouds, Pleasanton 98, Cotulla 102, and Carrizo Springs 102, and even Beeville at 96. So temperatures just falling through the 90s and 80s this evening. We'll talk about our next chance of rain. That arrives later this week. We'll talk about where it's coming from and the potential in general in just a bit.
Thank you, Adam. There's only devastation where trees used to be. For the first time, Drone 12 giving us a look at the destruction in the hill country from the air. Drone 12 flying above Kerrville today, showing just how far and wide those waters spread.
And on the other side of the screen, you can see how it looked on the day of the floods on July 4th when all that water poured out of the river's banks. In Kerr County, the number of people missing in the aftermath of all of this significantly dropping now from 97 to just 3 people. Our Devin Karp was at today's Kerr County Commissioners meeting to get the latest.
The County Commissioners Court says the number of missing people dropping from 97 to 3 means the next step in emergency management is coming. They're going to start to move away from search and rescue into recovery efforts. And it's going to mean a lot of changes here for some of the neighbors in town, all coming from the courthouse right here behind me in Kerrville. Now, they say that this is all because first responders and canine units are working through all of the debris for a 3rd time after that number of missing people dropped, and they think the change in recovery steps could even happen as early as the end of this week.
We're getting ready to start the recovery stage. We're finishing up with the search and rescue. We're down to 3 missing. And that was the Herculean effort for them to be able to track all those people down. And most of them were tourists that came in town that left and went back home and didn't report back in that they were there. That's what a lot of that was.
We shared and collaborated with the state police and Texas Rangers, and they totally revised their search efforts. That's why there's only 3 left, and we're going to find them all.
The county commissioners also spoke about how important it would be for neighbors to come to a community meeting happening tomorrow night at Tuesday. That's going to be happening at 6:30 over at the Ingram Tom Moore High School auditorium. There, residents will be able to hear from different places like FEMA and local organizers about how they can receive the help and assistance after the deadly July 4th flooding. If you need any of this information, we've got it up online at our website, KSAT.com. For now, I'm Devin Karp, KSAT 12 News.
A heartbreaking reminder of the toll of the floods in the hill country. Today, camp trunks were laid in front of the White House. These represent the girls who died in the floodwaters at Camp Mystic. Advocates calling for the White House to once again fund programs they believe could prevent disasters.
These girls to not have come home to their mothers is unthinkable. As a mother myself, it's absolutely unimaginable to think about what they are going through in this moment. And we have the ability to predict these things and prevent the loss of life by refunding the National Weather Service and NOAA. So it is simple. We are here asking that those two things be refunded so that we can protect our children.
Today, Senator Maria Cantwell of Washington State called on President Trump to reverse his proposal to cut the budget for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. According to CNN, the Trump administration's budget proposal would slash about $1.7 billion from the NOAA budget.
The Together for Texas donation drive still going on. So far, that campaign has raised just more than $1 million. Thank you so much for your generosity. All of the funds raised go directly to on-the-ground efforts in flood-affected areas through the Salvation Army.
A years-long fight for transparency could end tonight. The Uvalde School Board is set to vote on whether to release records from the Robb Elementary School shooting.
Our Daniela Ibarra has been following this for us. She joins us live from Uvalde tonight. Daniela.
Steve and Myra, that meeting is set to get underway here in Uvalde in just about an hour. Inside that boardroom, we're expecting to see some of the family members of the Robb Elementary shooting victims. Of course, 19 kids and 2 teachers were killed at Robb Elementary on May 24th, 2022. We've spoken to several other family members over the years who have wanted the answers as to what happened that day. And nearly 3 years ago, KSAT 12 and several other news outlets sued for the release of records from that day to get answers. Just last week, a San Antonio appeals court ruled in our favor, saying that Uvalde CISD and Uvalde County have to release records from that day. Some of the records that could be in that release, according to the attorney representing all the news outlets. She says that that could include information about the shooter's background, the school security, and police reports. Now, the school district and Uvalde County could decide to fight that ruling ahead to the Supreme Court. They do have a short deadline to do that, but tonight the school board will talk about what decision they're going to make in regards to that lawsuit. They're going to meet in closed session and they will make their decision in public. Of course, we're here in Uvalde. We're going to be in the boardroom for that meeting and we're going to continue to follow it for you. You can watch that meeting live on KSAT Plus, and we're going to wrap it all up for you tonight on the Night Beat. Live in Uvalde, I'm Daniela Ibarra for KSAT 12.
Camping with KSAT, powered by Thomas J. Henry.
Cowboys training camp has officially begun, and that means Jerry Jones is talking.
And when the Cowboys owner talks, that is not always a good thing, but it is rarely a dull thing. Larry Ramirez joins us live from Oxnard. Jerry talking contracts and more today, Larry.
Yes, Breester, you are absolutely correct about that. Jerry Jones is going to Jerry Jones when it comes to sitting down in front of a microphone. And he did say some very serious things today. And then he did say some stuff also that certainly made the media LOL for real. Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones. And you want to know what? He fully supports his new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. Now, Jerry told us today that he didn't really think of Schotty as his head coach at first. He just wanted him to work with Dak Prescott more. And then as things went down the line, he said, yeah, let me hire this guy as my head coach. And Jerry Jones supports him 100%. And speaking of Schotty himself, he is getting ready to run his first training camp as an NFL head coach. And the time in between mini camp to now was just way too long for Schotty not to be around his team. So he is pumped up to be here and be back with his guys. We've got that for you coming up in sports later on in this newscast. Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Larry, thank you. West of Kerrville in the town of Ingram, leaders there are expecting to meet tonight for the first time since the floods. What they'll be discussing still to come here on the News at 5. Tonight, the Ingram City Council is expected to meet for the first time since the July 4th floods.
On that agenda, city officials will begin the process of purchasing an emergency warning system and explore additional measures to mitigate future disasters. The Kerr County Emergency Manager expected to be there as well and give city leaders the first update on the flooding. We haven't been able to meet with William Dub Thomas yet, and he hasn't been a key figure in the recent news conferences either since that flood. The meeting expected to start at 6 p.m. tonight.
Let's take a look outside with live cam. It is a warm one out there. We've, of course, been watching the weather in the hill country, but really across our area for any more possible rain chances, Adam.
Yeah, we do have more rain chances, but the kind that are highly unlikely to bring any flooding. And that would be by Friday and potentially even into Saturday. Take a look at those rain chances, and it's at 30% for Friday. So we're talking isolated to widely separated, brief downpour here or there. Same thing into Saturday. And that's really our main opportunity going forward. And you look at the overall pattern that we have. We have these clouds that I talked about earlier overhead because of a little counterclockwise swirl over San Angelo. We're on the energy side of it, just enough to create some mid-level clouds, which can give us some beautiful sunrises and sunsets. They may be a little too thick for that around San Antonio today, but check outside about 8:40 p.m. Here's what we're watching. Over the Bahamas, this counterclockwise upper level swirl. That's a weak upper level disturbance that's going to be tracking across Florida and then across the Gulf. The blocking high, that's moving northward, moving away. So it opens the door for this weak upper disturbance to head our way and make it here by Friday and on into Saturday. Of course, the timing can change a bit between now and then, so check back in for updates. And the highest rainfall potential, as usual with these upper level weak systems, closer to the Gulf coastline and really right along the Gulf Coast. But even around here, we could have some neighborhoods of a half inch or so of rain by Sunday night or even into Saturday morning. But we're not talking significant or widespread rainfall. Actually, West Texas has better opportunities for more rain, and they need it. I mean, you look at the drought monitor, the areas that need the rain the most across the state, far West Texas, we're talking beautiful Alpine to Marfa, all the way to El Paso, and all the way down here into San Antonio. So basically along Highway 90 from San Antonio westward to Del Rio, and then all the way into Marfa and toward El Paso. Only about a quarter of Texas is considered in drought right now, which is a big improvement compared to just a year ago at this time. 94 right now. That's a high temperature so far today. Thick clouds. They may be too thick, as I said, for a good sunset once that sun gets low, but it's worth checking out around 8:40 p.m. outside. Here's the key, though. Dew point is 67, so it feels like it's 3 degrees warmer than the air temperature. Nothing significant. Not bad for July by our standards. Eagle Pass 94, Del Rio 96, Santa Maria and Debbie's Backyard 97. Kerrville Daniels Backyard at 88 and 94 right now in Bulverde Seguin 93. We start today tomorrow at 77 with low clouds early, and then the clouds will break up a little bit for the midday and afternoon, and we'll make it up to 97. We think not as much cloud cover, little more sunshine, so a few degrees warmer than today, and the standard southeasterly breeze at 10 to 15 miles per hour. The typically hotter spots, that's you, Carrizo Springs, even La Pryor, down to Crystal City, Cotulla, Dilley, probably making it to the century mark, 100 to about 103 in Laredo, up to 105. So that's looking a little more July-like. And like we talked about earlier in the newscast, wouldn't surprise me if we hit 100 Wednesday and or Thursday. Right now we're saying 99, but it could very well be 100. If so, we would have 4 to 5 100-degree days so far this year. Right now it stands at 3. Friday, that's our next chance, and a little bit into Saturday for a few showers.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
All right, the usual part of Cowboys camp is the news conference. Jerry, Stephen Jones, the coach.
Yeah.
This is a first for Brian Schottenheimer, though, Larry.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and this is also a first for Brian Schottenheimer when it comes to leading an NFL team at a training camp. Coming up, Schotty's going to talk about the fact that he really missed his team when the last time he saw them was at mini camp about 6 weeks ago, and team owner Jerry Jones definitely believes that Schotty is the guy to lead them to a Super Bowl. We got it coming up.
Camping with KSAT, powered by Thomas J. Henry.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome live to Oxnard, California, and the Dallas Cowboys training facility. They're going to call this place home for the next 3+ weeks. So the weather here is nice, and the boys are ready to get on the field tomorrow as they prepare for the brand new season. So the Cowboys got to Oxnard, California yesterday around 4 p.m. Pacific time, and we were there to capture it. They did some stretching on the field this afternoon and will practice for the first time tomorrow. Today was the Cowboys opening presser featuring head coach Brian Schottenheimer, Cowboys owner, President and General Manager Jerry Jones, and Chief Operating Officer and co-owner Stephen Jones. This is Schotty's first training camp as a head coach, and he is pumped up to be here and lead this team.
Oh, I'm just thrilled, man. I think why? The people I get to do this with day in and day out, Stephen and Jerry, the entire Jones family. You take these couple weeks off, right, and everybody kind of goes all over the map, and then you're about a week or two away. You start realizing, like, man, I really miss the guys. I miss CD. I miss seeing Sanborn. I miss seeing those guys. And then you start shooting them texts, and then you kind of you work yourself into a frenzy. The excitement and the man, I can't wait to get started. So
this is Schotty's first head coaching gig, and he's got the full support of Jerry Jones, who feels Brian will get the most out of this team.
This is going to be exciting to see what a man that's spent 30 years, grew up in this game, never had a chance to head coach, and has got some of the finest, highest paid athletes in the world to step out here and go to war with. I'm excited about that, and I'm proud that he's getting this opportunity. He deserves it, in my mind. It became very clear to me that he would deserve it. What I'm trying to say, Tim, man, that makes me go here this year. That makes me feel good.
Turning to high school football, the 2025 KSAT Pigskin Classic is all set and will feature Sotomayor taking on Clark Thursday, August 28th at 7 p.m. at Ferris Stadium. KSAT 12's game day, pregame, and full game broadcast can be seen on KSAT 12, the KSAT Plus streaming app, the Big Game Coverage app, and KSAT.com. So all the places. Hey, Micah Parsons and his contract extension was a hot topic today. Mary Rominger will have that for you coming up tonight at 6. We'll be back right after the break.
Want to give a quick look at what's coming up tonight on ABC's Primetime. At 7 p.m., it's Bachelor in Paradise. At 9, Celebrity Family Feud, followed by the Night Beat at 10.
Thanks for watching the News at 5.
World News Up.